Pick me up, please.
Baby, you're overthinking it.
It's broken. I'm not gonna follow the damn thing.
For most of us, using the bathroom is such a basic part of life that we hardly think twice about it. But carrying the weight of 600 pounds, not just on your body, but on your spirit. Every step hurts, every glance stings. Life shrinks to the size of your bedroom and hope fades with every passing day. Yet within this darkness, sparks of courage flicker. People who once seemed lost find the strength to fight back, to reclaim their lives inch by painful inch. What drives someone to the edge? What pulls them back? And what does it really take to rise when the world says you can't? When someone reaches the size of many patients on my 600 pounds, life, even the most basic routines, becomes an overwhelming challenge. The bathroom, in particular, becomes a battleground. Extra weight makes it difficult to stand, bend, or even walk far enough to reach the toilet in time. Standard bathroom fixtures, built for average-sized people, often cannot support their weight, which leads to broken seats, blocked doors, or even dangerous falls and injuries. What should be a private and peaceful moment turns into a stressful obstacle course. These struggles are not just physical, they cut into a person's sense of independence and self-worth. Many patients feel trapped in their own homes, forced to rely on loved ones or caregivers for deeply intimate help. The shame and embarrassment often feed depression, which in turn makes it harder to stay motivated with weight loss efforts. A bathroom accident can feel like proof that life is slipping out of control. For Dr. Now, addressing these issues goes far beyond diet plans and medical charts. He often highlights how hygiene and toileting difficulties are signs of just how far someone's health has declined. A bathroom struggle may seem like a side detail, but it shows when a patient's body is reaching the point of total collapse. By understanding this background, we can better appreciate the heartbreaking stories that follow. These are not just awkward moments, they are windows into the daily battles of people fighting to survive. Number 4. Lisa Fleming. Among all the stories on my 600 pounds life, Lisa Fleming's case remains one of the most haunting and sorrowful. At her heaviest, Lisa weighed over 700 pounds and was completely bedridden. Unlike some other patients who could still shuffle a few steps with support, Lisa was essentially confined to her bedroom, her world limited to the space around her bed. This extreme immobility made even the simplest daily task, like going to the bathroom, nearly impossible. On the show, it was revealed that Lisa often could not reach the toilet in time. Instead, she relied on buckets and improvised containers kept near her bedside. These moments were not only physically uncomfortable, they were deeply humiliating. The sight of her world shrinking down to a bed surrounded by buckets showed how obesity had stripped away her privacy and dignity. Something that should have been effortless and private had turned into a recurring crisis. Her bathroom struggles were not just about inconvenience, they reflected the dangerous cycle she was caught in. Being bedridden meant her hygiene suffered, which increased her risk of infections, skin breakdown, and further physical decline. Each failed attempt to use the toilet reinforced her feelings of shame and hopelessness. Family members often had to step in to clean or assist her, creating tension, emotional exhaustion, and guilt within her household. Dr. Now repeatedly emphasized that Lisa's situation was a stark warning sign. When a patient becomes so immobile that they can no longer manage their own toileting, their body is signaling an urgent, life-threatening decline. Lisa's bathroom struggles became a powerful symbol of how obesity can rob someone not only of mobility but also of one of the most basic human dignities. Yet, even amid this despair, Lisa did try to engage with treatment, showing that she had not given up. Although her journey ended tragically, her willingness to begin the process revealed that even in the darkest situations, the will to fight can still flicker. While her struggle was rooted in emotional eating, the next journey began in silence. A silence that hid years of pain. Number 3. Sean Milliken. Sean Milliken was one of the most well-known and heart-wrenching cases on my 600 pounds life. At his peak, he weighed over 900 pounds, making him one of the heaviest patients ever featured. His size left him almost fully stuck in bed, and like Lisa, this meant that even using the toilet became a monumental challenge. Sean could not walk to a bathroom or lower himself onto a toilet seat. Instead, he had to rely on bedpans and absorbent pads that were kept close to his bed. For most people, such items are temporary tools used during short-term illnesses or recovery from surgery. For Sean, they became his only way to deal with one of the most basic needs of life. It was not only physically difficult, it was emotionally devastating. This kind of loss in daily life fed into his deep sense of shame. Sean often spoke quietly and gently, as if the weight of his body was matched by the weight on his mind. He knew his mother was always nearby and that she had to help him with these most private tasks. That kind of bond might seem loving from the outside, but for a grown man, needing his mother to clean and care for him like a child carried a heavy emotional cost. It created guilt, humiliation, and grief on top of the physical struggle. Yet despite this, Sean showed moments of determination. He talked openly about wanting to change so he could reclaim his independence. Even as he used bedpans, he worked with Dr. Now to attempt weight loss and physical therapy, proving that he had not surrendered to his circumstances. His bathroom difficulties were not a footnote to his story. They were central to understanding how much he had lost and how hard the road back would be. They marked a point where his body had taken control of his life and where regaining control meant far more than just losing pounds. Sean's story built on Lisa's, showing a grim link between size, shame, and the loss of simple acts. But while his pain was heavy, the show soon turned to another patient who faced her own unique fight, this time not in bed, but inside the bathroom itself. He fought his battle in isolation. But for the next person, the fight played out under the gaze of millions. Number 2. Lupe Samano. Lupe Samano's journey gave viewers one of the most raw and unforgettable scenes of physical pain on My 600 Pounds Life. At more than 600 pounds, her size made even the simplest movements exhausting. But one moment that stuck with many fans was when her toilet seat broke underneath her as she tried to use it. For most people, a toilet seat is something we assume is safe and sturdy. For Lupe, it gave way under her weight, leaving her both physically hurt and emotionally shattered. She had to face not only the shock of the break, but also the painful truth that her body had grown too heavy for something designed for everyday life. The bathroom, which is supposed to be a place of comfort and relief, had turned into a site of pain and humiliation. Her weight also meant she could not close the bathroom door as her body filled the small space. This lack of privacy stripped away her sense of peace and personal control. Each attempt to use the toilet filled her with stress, fear of another break, and the ongoing humiliation of knowing she could not be alone. Even something as basic as shutting a door had become impossible. Yet Lupe did not stop there. After the incident, she spoke about how deeply it had shaken her and how she wanted to prove she could change. The broken seat became a wake-up call that her body was in danger and that she had to take action if she wanted to live. She began working closely with Dr. Now, attempting to follow her diet plan and undergoing surgery. Though her path was rocky, this moment showed that even from deep embarrassment can come the spark to fight back. The image of the broken seat stayed with viewers not only as a symbol of her lowest moment, but also as the turning point when she decided to stand up, figuratively and literally, against her own decline. She found healing through community. For her, community was the hardest part. The stares, the whispers, the judgment, and that's how one life transformed. But transformation looks different for everyone, and our next story proves just that. Number 1. Lacey Buckingham. Lacey Buckingham's case gave fans one of the most harsh and emotionally raw moments ever tied to toilet needs on My 600 Pounds Life. At more than 600 pounds, Lacey's life was already shaped by shame, isolation, and loss of control. But one trip in a car revealed just how much her body ruled her world. While riding with her partner, Lacey had an accident and soiled herself because she could not hold it or reach a toilet in time. In that cramped car space with no escape, the scene became a storm of shame, anger, and pain. Lacey cried out in fear and frustration while her partner looked on with a mix of worry, helplessness, and quiet resentment. The act itself was brief, but the emotional mark it left was deep and long-lasting. For Lacey, this was a moment where her struggle with food and weight was laid bare in the most humiliating way possible. It was not just her physical health at stake, it was her pride, her sense of adulthood, her bond with her partner, and her hope for a new life. Afterwards, she admitted that she sometimes had to wear diapers. For a grown woman, that admission was more than difficult. It represented the loss of autonomy, the clearest sign that her body no longer obeyed her will. Despite the despair, Lacey expressed a desire to change after the incident. She spoke about wanting to regain her independence so she would never again have to face such shame. It was a heartbreaking moment, but also a revealing one. The car accident showed more than a simple mishap. It was a cry from her body, a warning that life at her size was stripping away not just comfort, but choice. Lacey's tale stood alongside Lisa's buckets, Sean's bedpans, and Lupe's broken seat, showing how the struggle for dignity runs through all their stories. Other silent struggles. Not every bathroom struggle on My 600 Pounds Life was shown on screen, yet many fans and family members have quietly hinted that more cases existed. When a person weighs over 600 pounds, the odds of toilet mishaps rise dramatically. Beds, chairs, and seats are designed for far lower weights. Bathroom doors are often too narrow and the space is too cramped to maneuver. So even if the show did not air each incident, it is likely that many more patients lived with the same pain behind the cameras. Some names are linked to rumors or brief mentions in social media posts. A few viewers claimed that other cast members had to rely on pans, pads, or caregiver assistance, though the show chose not to broadcast those scenes. In some cases, family members spoke of the emotional stress of cleanup or the lingering smell that would fill a room. Each small hint pointed to the same hidden theme: the loss of pride, the loss of ease, and the deep reliance on others for basic care. It is important to remember that the show can only air so much, and it often spares viewers from scenes that are too raw or disturbing. Still, when you see their weight, their posture, and the state of their health, the truth becomes clear. Bathroom struggles were not rare. They were part of the everyday reality of many on the show. These silent struggles remind us that Lisa, Sean, Lupe, and Lacey were not isolated cases. They were part of a much wider and sadder pattern that only surfaced briefly on screen. The bigger picture. When you consider Lisa's buckets, Sean's bedpans, Lupe's broken seat, and Lacey's car accident, one truth becomes clear. These were not just awkward bathroom scenes. They were markers of how far life can slip away when size takes full control. Each case shows a core theme: the loss of self-rule. To use the toilet on your own is a basic part of being human. When that ability disappears, so does a person's sense of dignity, and with that comes shame, grief, and fear. The toll did not stop with the patients themselves. Mothers, sons, and partners had to step in, and their bonds were strained under the weight of such intimate caregiving. Helping a loved one is an act of love, but when that help involves toileting, the emotional burden can become overwhelming. Dr. Now often pointed out that this loss of autonomy is not just sad, it is a red flag. A body too large to move to the toilet is a body on the edge of collapse. The show made it clear that the battle was not only about food or willpower, it was about survival, dignity, and life itself. These stories show that bathroom struggles are not side notes or dramatic stunts. They are warning signs of lives in grave danger, but also moments when hope can still spark if change begins. The bathroom scenes from My 600 Pounds Life may be difficult to watch, but they carry a profound truth. For Lisa, Sean, Lupe, and Lacey, the loss of such a basic act showed just how much had been taken from them. Buckets by the bed, pans in place of a seat, a toilet seat snapping apart, or an accident in a car, all told the same story. Lives where pride and choice had been stripped away. Yet as grim as these moments were, they also became turning points. For many, the shock of losing even this part of life was what finally pushed them to see that change had to come. It was no longer about the numbers on a scale. It was about the right to live, to be free, and to find peace and privacy once again. The show gave us more than dramatic weight loss stories. It gave us a raw look at what happens when pain, trauma, and food combine to push someone beyond the limits of what the human body can endure. And while some of these stories ended in loss, others found hope through medical care, emotional healing, and the chance to start over. In the end, the saddest bathroom struggles remind us that health is not just about numbers, it is about holding on to the simple, everyday acts that make us human.